Alright, Shalom, Shalom. This is Azmawa, and I'm back with another lesson. First and foremost, I want to say, Call Halal Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, and that's all praise to the Heavenly Father, in the name of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And today, I just want to kind of go into the fall season, if you will, into the fall season. Right, we're definitely in the fall season, man. And I'm not speaking about this carnal fall season. I'm talking about the spiritual fall season. What do I mean? I mean how many of us are falling out of this truth. Yeah. So you thought I was going to talk about the daggone weather, right? But I'm talking about the climate of the souls that's in this truth and that's leaving out of this truth. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that climate, right? And as we approach Yahweh Shah's return, man, and the redemption of the saints, as each day is getting closer to that, man, fall it's really set in place amongst Israel, more prevalent, man, more than ever before, right? And it was prophesied that it has to happen, right? It was prophesied that it has to happen, right? Because everybody that's so-called in the truth, they weren't necessarily placed there. I'm gonna let this car pass. Everybody that's so-called in the truth, and they weren't necessarily placed there by the Most High. They weren't necessarily placed there by the Spirit. The Spirit may not have drawn them to the truth. Some people put themselves there, right? Now, ultimately, we understand that there's no free will, but so with that, the Most High put them in the truth, what I'm saying, just for a season, and because they didn't, let me get this real quick. This is Romans. Because they didn't hold the truth, right? He just gave them over to a reprobate mind, basically. Let me get this real quick. This is Romans chapter 1. See, is this what I want? Yeah. It was Romans 1:18. He says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men," check this out, "who hold the truth in unrighteousness." Yeah. So a lot of our people are falling out of this truth because they didn't hold it in righteousness, but they held it in unrighteousness. How do you do that? Basically, you're being a hypocrite with this thing. You're being lukewarm in this truth, man. Now this is why it's so important to examine yourself, right? To make sure that you're not a reprobate. Make sure you're not falling out of this truth. To make sure that you don't have an evil seed of unbelief and doubt, right, in your heart, because it can very easily be set there, man. That's why we have to constantly examine ourselves. Let me get that real quick. We have to constantly examine ourselves. All right. 2 Corinthians 13:5. He says, "Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith." Why? Because if you don't, eventually you're gonna find yourself backsliding, and it's gonna be too late because you're just at the point of no return. He says, "Prove your own selves," right? And basically, try your own self, right? Know ye not your own selves how that Yahweh Shah HaMashiach is in you, except you be reprobates. And reprobates basically going into your void of judgment. Meaning you have no idea what the hell is going on at that point. The Most High just withdrew all of that wisdom, all that judgment out of you, and now you're just back to being a simple Negro in the world, right? It's that simple, right? But let me get this real quick. Let me get this real quick in Isaiah. All right, and it's important to pay attention, man. Pay attention to yourself, and I'm speaking to myself as well, because it can happen to anyone. You can be on fire in this truth one day, and literally because we didn't hold this truth and righteousness, and because we didn't have a zeal for it, and we weren't being good stewards of the talents that He gave us and multiplying these gifts, meaning multiplying this truth that He gave unto you. He could take that spirit away from you, man. So I myself, I have to be careful of that very same thing as well, right? As soon as we wake up in the morning, we ought to instantly drop to our knees, man. Making a point not to even talk to anybody before you talk to the Most High. Let the Most High be the very first one that you talk to in the day, right? And the last one that you talk to before you go to bed, right? Begin and end your day with Him, man. He needs to consume your mind. He needs to consume your life. You need to revolve around Him. right? Don't make him revolve around you, because he's not, man, right? In the Christian church, they'll have you, they'll say, oh, well, just take 30 minutes out of your day and, just study, or 30 minutes out of your week, and just, read some good motivational psalms or whatnot. Nah, man, it don't work like that, bro. We are laborers in this truth. What do laborers do? They labor, right? It's hard work. It's laborious work. The book of Sirach says, hate not laborious work, right? So when you sign up, when the Most High is drawing you into this truth, you need to understand that at that point you have become a workman in this field, man. And what's that field? The field is Israel, right? And we're going to get that through this lesson. But the field is Israel, right? And we have a great job to be doing right now, and that's to be plowing that field and sowing the seeds of the word, right? So we can't be tired in laboring in this thing. We can't be tired. Let me get this real quick. It's Isaiah 6 and verse 10. I'm going to start at verse 9. He says, and he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Right? And that's exactly what's going on with a lot of our people, man. They hear us on the street corners. They see us on the street corners, but they don't see us, and they don't hear us at the same time, because the Most High has made certain people void of judgment and just basically ignorant of what's going on, man. Ignorant of the physical realm. They don't actually see that damn Esau's about to come in and ransack your homes, lock you up in FEMA camps, kill many of you. They don't see things on the carnal level, so of course they can't see things on the spiritual level, man. Let me get that real quick. This is John 3. This is John 3. I'm gonna start at 12. He says, if I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you heavenly things, man? All right. So if you, that's why Yahushua just, most of his speech, most of his ministry, it was centered around parables, things that you can glean, or lessons that you can glean from everyday life, from earthly things, right? So if you couldn't even understand those earthly matters he was talking about, and that was wrapped around in those parables, you're definitely not going to glean out and draw out that spiritual concept and meaning, right? That he put within those parables, right? Because he had to hide it from the simple. He had to hide it from the people that was unwise, and that was just basically void of judgment. Just didn't know what the hell was going on, because contrary to popular belief, this word is not meant for everyone. This word is not meant for everyone, man. Right? And that's why many of us, many of Israelites, they're falling out of the truth. Right? They're falling out of the truth. Right? This is Matthew 13, verse 16. He says, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Right? So Isaiah 6, he said, make this people, no, he says in verse 9, he says, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. But for the ones that's in this truth and they're sincere about it, man. What does a sincere Israelite look like? Someone that is constantly in a repentant state. They're constantly examining themselves. They're constantly taking heed and making sure that they can do everything on their part, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, right? And not abusing the grace that Yahushua has bestowed upon us. That's what and also teaching his or her people, man. That's what a sincere Israelite looks like. That's what their life looks like. Their life should bear witness and be a testimony of what's inside of their heart. Right? Actions do not lie. Right? If you see a so-called Israelite out there not producing good fruit, man, you already know what's in their heart. You already know what's in their heart. For out of the abundance, out of the what's in the heart, the abundance. Let me get that real quick. I believe that's Matthew 5. Let me see. I think that's Matthew 5. No, that's Matthew 15, I believe. Matthew 15. Come on. All right, Matthew 15 and 18. He says, but those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile a man. See, so if you have you know what I'm saying, Israelite or so-called someone that's in his truth, man, and they're just spewing out a bunch of hateful things, and it's not unto the edification of the saints, you can see what's in their heart, man, because actions don't lie. You can know a person just by the way how they treat another man or another woman, or the way how they or their zealousness for this truth, man. All right. Now let me go back to my original point. I have a tendency to get sidetracked. That's all right, man. It's just a spirit. There's Isaiah 6. Going back to Isaiah 6. Where's that? Yeah, verse 10. He says, "Make the heart of this people fat, right, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed." All right. So now this is the prophetic part, man, reaching all the way down to today, verse 11. He says, "Then said I, Lord, how long?" So we're asking the same question right now. We're asking the same question. Most High, how long are these people going to see and not see at the same time? How long are these people going to be ignorant to what the hell's going on? How long are they going to be? How long is it going to be until they're actually going to repent and be healed, man? Like, I know we're reading these same verses in the Bible, right? I know that this so-called Christian, you know what I'm saying, they're reading the exact same verses in the Bible. How long is it going to take, you know, until they can actually see what I see? Until they can actually see the truth. And this is what he says. "And he answered and said, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant." When is that going to happen, man? It's happening. It's about to happen pretty soon. So that's how long. It's going to be too late at that point, man. They're going to see at the last minute. It's going to be too late. He says, until the cities be wasted. Hold on, let me let this motorcycle go by. Yeah. So he says, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, that's the second coming. That's a scribe of the second coming, man. Verse 12, he says, "And Yahweh have removed men far away," and check this out. He says, "and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land." Boom, there you have it. That's fall season right there. Right? And we are in that season, bro. We are definitely in the season of fall, man. We're in that season of the great forsaking. Of the great forsaking. Me and the brother Nakawan, we did a sit-down lesson last night. Something that Paul had made mention in his epistle to the Thessalonians, man. And this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. He says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come." What day? He's talking about the day of redemption. He says, "Except there come a falling away first." Yeah, we gleaned the understanding of what that meant last night, right? And it's basically talking about how Israelites, how we fell from our nationality, right? But we can also put this on an individual level, right? How individuals, how they're falling away, right? There has to be just like Isaiah 6 said, that there's going to be a great forsaking in the land, right? So that day of redemption, this day of redemption is not going to come until there comes a great falling away first, man. So marvel not, right? If you start seeing brothers that was, you know, that was just once so on fire for the Most High and on fire for this truth, and as we approach the end of days even more, don't marvel, man, if you just start seeing people fall out left and right. Right? Because it's got to happen. This is prophecy, man. It's got to happen. It's written in stone, man. Or written on paper. Right? It was written on paper, man. It's got to happen. And we understand that anything that comes out of the mouth of the King, which is the Most High, it is not going to return void. That thing has to be accomplished, man. Right? So this great forsaking has to happen. Lord, all we can do is just hope and pray that we're not going to be a part of that number that's going to fall back into perdition, man. That's all we can do, you know. That's why you have to make your calling and election sure. We understand that we've been called. Obviously, we've been called into this truth, right? But now we have to make that calling and that election sure. What does that word sure mean? It means to make it steadfast. To make it basically promised. Right? Those already know, you know, but we don't truly know. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you have to make full proof of your ministry. What does that mean to make full proof of your ministry? Basically, try not to make this go down either. things, endure afflictions, right? Do the work of an evangelist. Woo. What is an evangelist, man? They teach. So you have to do all these things. And he says, make full proof of thy ministry, right? That's how you make your calling and election sure. By making full proof of your ministry. You got to endure the afflictions. You got to watch, right? And you got to do the work of an evangelist. Man, we could glean so much out of this one scripture. We could go into a whole other lesson of this one scripture, man. Right? You got to watch, especially, man. You really got to watch. Let me get that real quick. Because we're living in a very prophetic time, man. We live in a very prophetic time. I want to get Mark 13 and 23. Let me get an NLT. Mark 13 and 23 in the NLT. And this is Yahushua. He says, watch out. Watch out, man. Right? What did we just get in 2 Timothy 4? How do you make your calling and election sure, basically? Right? By being watchful. Right? He says, watch out. I have warned you about this ahead of time. What does that sound like? That sounds like a prophecy. Yahushua was constantly giving us prophecies, man. He was a prophet, man. Right? So, what do you do with prophecies? You gotta watch the times and the seasons. If not, you're gonna be caught slipping, man. He already told you you're gonna come like a thief in the night. That's what the Lord will do. Yahweh, he already told you from the very get-go in Exodus 15:3. He says, "For I'm a man of war." What do men of war do? They get you at nighttime, man. They get the prey when they're most vulnerable, right? But that's why he gave his servants these prophecies, so we can be diligent and look into these things, right? So we don't get caught slipping, man. Because most of them are going to get caught slipping, man. That's why there's going to be so many dead people out here. Bodies on top of bodies. Because they did not take heed unto these prophecies. Because it just wasn't given unto them, man. Alright? So let me go and get back to the lesson, right? Because he's going to uproot anyone that he has not planted, man. Right? Let me get that real quick. It's Matthew 15. Matthew 15 and 13. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father had not planted shall be rooted up. Shall be rooted up. Right? Now who are these plants? The plants is Israel. Right? But these wicked Israelites that the Most High God has not planted, they're going to be rooted up. Where can we find an example of that? I'm glad you asked. 2 Chronicles 7. Because, well, actually, before I get that, I want to get this real quick to show you that he planted Israel, right? But he didn't plant the bad ones. He didn't plant the bad ones. Let me get this real quick. We turned into a degenerate plant. My computer's slow. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm always making y'all suffer through this. Come on, man. Alright. Isaiah 5 and 7. He says, for the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah is his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. So the vineyard, what's a vineyard? That's a farm, basically, man. Right? The Most High God planted us, right? But we started producing these wicked fruit, man. So he had to root us up out of our land. Get this real quick. It's Jeremiah 2 and 21. He says, yet I have planted thee a noble vine. You see? He planted us. He planted us. But what did he say in Matthew 15? He says, every plant that my Father had not planted, it shall be rooted up. Right? He says, yet I have planted thee a noble vine, a holy, a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? That degenerate plant, yeah, that's the one that's going to get rooted up. That we read in Matthew 15. That's the one. Let's go into that word degenerate. Degenerate plant. Yeah. It says deteriorated, man. You withered away. What does a leaf do after it deteriorates? It withers and then it just falls away. All right. Yeah, physically we're in the fall season, but on a spiritual note, we're also in the fall season as well. So you're gonna deteriorate, you're gonna wither away, and you're gonna fall out of the truth, man, if you don't abide in Hamashiach Yahushua, right? Let's get that in 2 Chronicles. Let's get that account in 2 Chronicles real quick. 2 Chronicles 7. We're gonna start at verse 20. 2 Chronicles 7. I'm actually starting at 19. He says, but if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then, check this out, then I will pluck them up by the roots out of my land, right? He's going to pluck you up out of the root of his land, right? Let's get that again. Matthew 15. Matthew 15 and 13. Every plant which my heavenly Father hath planted shall be rooted up, right? When did that happen? And why did that happen? 2 Chronicles 7 and 20. Then I will pluck them up by the roots out of my land. Why? Because we turn away from his law, such as commandments, start worshiping these other gods, such as downright Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or whatnot, right? Or even your own damn self, man. Right? He says, which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name, I will cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all those nations. Does that sound familiar? That sounds like Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26. Then those curses going to fall upon you. Then you're going to be a proverb and a byword, man. Right? So every plant that the Most High God has not planted, man, when you turn into that degenerate plant, it's a cycle, man. He's going to uproot you. And the same thing is happening right now, and we can see it. People are getting uprooted left and right, man, because they did not hold this truth in truth and in sincerity. That's why. Let me get this real quick. Matthew 3. Matthew 3 and verse 10. He says, and now, I'm going to start at verse 9. He says, and think not to say, I'm going to actually start at verse 8. Right? Because what do plants do? They produce fruit. And what's the fruit that we need to be producing to stay in this truth? What did I say earlier? We need to be, what does a sincere Israelite look like? They're constantly in a repentant mind state. Right? This is Matthew 3 and 8. He says, bring therefore fruits. Right? Where do fruits come from? Plants. He says, bring therefore fruits meet for repentance. Right? And think not to say within ourselves, we have Abraham to be our father. Yeah, so don't think just because it's because you know that you descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ah, man, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? No. He said that the sinners of my die shall die by the sword. Right? He says, we have Abraham to our father, for I say unto you that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. And now also the axe is laid unto the roots of the trees. Right? Right? He says, therefore every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire, man. Every plant, man, you're going to be hewn down, you're going to be uprooted, and you're going to be cast into the fire. Right? It's that simple. That's why it's so important to take heed unto the doctrine which you have received, and don't turn to the left and don't turn to the right with it, man. Once you receive this doctrine, Spirit has confronted unto you, man, you take that thing, you hold it, and you run with it. You multiply them talents, man. If not, you're not making full proof of your ministry. Then you're just going to be deceiving yourself, man. Like James says. He says, don't be hearers of the word only, but also be doers, deceiving your own selves. That's how you deceive yourself, because then you're going to be like, man, do I really believe in this thing? Right? But if you can see fruits of what you do, if you can constantly say, yeah, man, I've turned many to righteousness, you know, I myself turned from unrighteousness, and you could go back and look at you know, good works that the Father has worked within you, that's recorded or whatnot. You can say, yeah, I truly believe in that thing. Obviously, you know, I turned down a lot of people from that. I've turned down my own family. I turned down my own friends. In some cases, you may have even turned down your own spouse. You can look back at those things, and you can see that these were all testaments of what you believe in. But if you haven't done any of those things, you have nothing to stand upon. You have nothing to see for proof of what you believe in. every work, everything that you do, it's jotted down, and it could be it's going to be used against you in the court of law before God's throne. Everything we do, man, is being documented, whether it be good or evil. All right. Let me go ahead and get this in John 15. It's John 15:1. Alright, he says, I am the true vine, and my father is the husbandman. Right? What do husbandmen do? Right? They're basically they're the vine dressers, right? They prune. They prune, man. And they also cut away. They cut away dead things, right? They uproot it by the roots. But they also prune living things. They also prune things that actually produce fruit. Why? So they can produce more fruit, right? This is verse 2. He says, every branch in me, right? Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. Boom, there you have it, right? This is why it's fall season right now. A lot of niggas, they already produced their little fruits. They already did what the Most High wanted to do. And then they just withered away, right? Because they just turned to the general plant and they fell off. They fell away. All right? Mostly do something real quick. Yeah, so starting verse 2, he says, every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, see, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. So either way you're gonna get cut, either way you're gonna get cut down, but you want to be cut down to produce more fruit. You want to get cut, you want to get pruned to produce more fruit, not cut indefinitely, man. You don't want to get cut in that instance, right? Verse 3, he says, now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. That's how we get clean, man. That's how we get clean. He says, abide in me and I in you. Now, how do you abide in the Most High? How do you abide in Yahushua? By these doctrines, by these words, man. Let me get that real quick. That's how you abide in him. In 2 John 1, 1 and 9, he says, whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Hamashiach hath not God. Man, it's that simple. That's why we see so many brothers, man. Now they're even questioning if we got to keep the laws, right? When we can go into accounts like we just did, 2 Chronicles 7 and 20, when if you didn't keep the law, that's when he's going to uproot you, right? And we understand that the law, such commandments, those are doctrines. Proverbs 4 and 2. He says, for behold, I give you good doctrine, forsake not my law, right? But those same people that's now saying you got to keep the law, you can simply see how the Most High has just made them bug outs. He had made them leaves, and now they have withered away and fell out, right? Because they did not abide in the doctrine of Hamashiach. Abiding in the doctrine of Hamashiach, man. Right? He says, he that abideth in the doctrine of Hamashiach, he have both the Father and the Son. So you're gonna have that life, man, if you abide in that doctrine. That is how we abide. Right? Now going back to John 15 and 4. Abide in me, right? So abide in that doctrine that he has given us. Right? And I and you. Yeah, let me get that real quick. Yeah, abide in the doctrine, because Yahushua, he abode in his Father's doctrine. Right? So what makes you think that you're going to do anything different? People think that Yahushua came to give a new doctrine, or he did a new doctrine. No, he did the doctrine that his Father gave him. This is John 7 and 16. He says, and he answered and said, my doctrine is not mine. So yeah, when you dwell, when you abide in the Most High, when you abide in Hamashiach and his doctrine, you're essentially abiding in the Most High God's doctrine that he gave. And where do you find this doctrine at, man? Let me get that real quick. Proverbs 4 and 2. He says, for I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. Yeah, so you got those daggone Israelites, man, that's saying that you ain't got to keep the laws of the Most High God anymore. Listen, man, y'all are bug outs and y'all are falling out the truth, right? Because that's the that is the base. That is the base of being a Hebrew Israelite, knowing that you're a Hebrew Israelite, you keep the laws, man. That's the base of it. That's the core foundation. That's the core fundamentals. That's the That is it. Keeping the laws and having faith in Yahushua. That is the doctrine, right? Let me go back. Where is that at? Yeah, John 7. He says, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. You see? Now who sent him? The Most High. Verse 17. If any man would do his will, and what's his will? Man, it all stems back. It all stems back to the law, man. Psalms 40 and 8. Alright. He says, I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart. It's that simple. Going back to John 7 and 17. If any man would do his will, meaning his law, he shall know of the doctrine. The will is the law, and the doctrine is the law. We just got it. Whether it be of God, or whether I speak of myself. You see? So that's how we abide in Hamashiach Yahushua. John 15 and 4. He says, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can you, except you abide in me. Right? Man, it's just sad we got to keep going over the fundamentals for our people, man. They just, I don't know, bro. It brings fear in my heart whenever I see people fall out the truth. Because it's starting to get closer and closer to home now, man. Right? It's starting to get closer and closer to home. This ought to bring fear in your hearts, knowing that it can easily be you. He can easily put that spirit, you know what I'm saying, on you, you know, just to bug you out, because you already served your purpose, man. All we are vessels. We're easily disposable. Easily. Let me go down to verse 5. He says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If I see a damn Jewish rat up the block. He says, if a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered. You see? He says, and is withered. The same thing that we just got in Jeremiah 2. That's what degenerate means. It means withered, deteriorated. It says, and men gather them and cast them into fire, and they are burned. Now, who are those men that's going to do that? Those angels, man. When Yahushua comes and plucks the when he comes in and gathers his crop, man, on the arrival of his second coming, when he has that sickle in his hand. That's Revelation 14, right? He says, if you abide in me and my he says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you. And what's his words? That's his doctrine. Right? 2 John, we already got it, 2 John 1 and 9. Abideth in the doctrine of Hamashiach. And going back to John, he says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified. So this is how you glorify the Most High. This is how you glorify the Most High. That you bear much fruit, so you shall be my disciples. So you shall be my disciples. Now, how do you bear that fruit? Let me get this real quick. 2 Ezra 9. Give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. 2 Ezra 9 and 31. He says, for behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and you shall be honored in it forever. See? So he sows his law in us. His law is that seed. His law is that seed amongst the vineyard of Israel. And it shall bring fruit in you, and you shall be honored in it forever. Yeah. Right? So let me go here to Psalms real quick. Psalms 80. Psalms 8 and 14. He says, return, we beseech thee, O God of hosts, look down from heaven, and behold, and visit this vine. And visit this vine, man. Man, this was prophetic, bro. David knew what was going on. He knew what was going to be happening, especially in these latter days. The Most High God is looking down on the planet Earth. Particularly, he's looking down upon Israel. He's looking down upon his cluster of the grape of the vine, man. Right? To see if we're producing fruit unto him. Right? And check this out, right? And the vineyard, what was that vineyard? Let's go back to it. Isaiah 5:7. Isaiah 5:7. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel. Boom. Psalms 80. He says, where's that? Yeah, verse 15. He says, and the vineyard, which is Israel, which thy right hand hath planted. Yeah, we got that in Jeremiah 2:21. He says that he planted Israel a holy and right seed, a holy vine. He says, and Israel, Salah, and the vineyard which thy right hand hath planted, and the branch that thou made it strong for thyself, it is burned with fire, it is cut down, they perish at the rebuke of thy countenance. Why? Because we weren't producing good fruit, man. Alright, let's just finish it out. He says, let thy hand be upon the man of thy right hand, upon the son of man whom thou madest strong for thyself. Yeah, that plant that withstood the scorching heat of the sun, because he abode in the doctrines of the Most High, man. He says, so we will not go back from thee, quicken us, and we will call upon thy name, turn us again, O Yahweh God of hosts, cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. Yeah, because a plant needs sunshine, man, to continue to produce that good fruit, right? And these are all things that's written right here within the law, really. The law has a spiritual aspect to it as well, it has a duality, if you will, to it as well. Right? That's why Paul says in Romans 7:14, he says that the law is spiritual. Right? So let's glean the spiritual concept from the law. Right here in Leviticus 19:19. He says, you shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse seed. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Pay attention. Who's that field that we got? Who's that vineyard? Israel. Isaiah 5:7, right? So he says Israel should not plant different seeds in it, man. Now, what is that seed? What's that seed? Luke 8:11. He say, now the parable is this: the seed is the word of God. Boom. So seed is doctrine. Seed is this word, man. So you shouldn't be planting a seed of the Most High and a seed of the damn devil and his doctrines, man. That's wickedness. That's wickedness, and it's going to lead to your destruction. He says, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Why? Because we're supposed to have that pure garment or robe of righteousness on, if you will, or cloak of righteousness, if you will, right? Let's get that real quick. It's Job 29:14. He said, I put on righteousness and it clothed me. Yeah, righteousness, that's our robe, right? My judgment was as a robe and a diadem. Where does he get his judgments from? From the law, statutes, commandments, right? So that robe of righteousness that Job had on, you know, and we should all have that on, man. And it shouldn't be mingled with other fabrics or interwoven with different doctrines. We're supposed to have a pure, clean, unadulterated gospel, man. Good, clean, pure, unadulterated doctrine. He's already given it to us, right? Let's get that real quick in 1 Thessalonians. Because a lot of us fall out of the truth because we got different robes on. When we have a robe mingled on with different things. Mingled with different things. It's 1 Thessalonians 2:5. He say, yeah. For neither at any time use we flattering words, as we know, nor a cloak. What's a cloak? A cloak is like a robe, right? Or a garment. Nor a garment or a cloak of covetousness. God is witness. Yeah. Let me get this last one real quick. 1 Peter 2:16. He says, as free. Let me start at verse 15. He says, for so is the will of God. All right, we already got what that will is, keeping the law, statutes, commandments. He says that with well-doing you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free and not, check this out, and not using your liberty as a cloak of maliciousness. Right? What's another word for cloak? Robe or garment. Right? In the law, he says that we shouldn't mingle our garment with different fabrics. Right? He says, but as the servants of the Most High. What's another word for servant? Minister. Alright? So as being ministers in this truth, man, we need to we gotta maintain this pure doctrine so we don't fall out of this truth, man. We just got some accounts of how Israel, time and time again, man, you know what I'm saying? We mix on, we interwoven because we didn't hold the truth in righteousness. Let me put it one more time. That was a proper verse. Romans 1:18. The wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteous men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Yeah, so some people, they may hold this truth. They may know, yeah, I'm an Israelite. Yeah, I gotta keep the law, statutes, commandments, but you're holding it in unrighteousness. Yeah. Let that sink in, man. You're not holding this truth the way it should be held. It's kind of like a woman, bro. You know, you get that perfect woman, and this woman that I'm talking about is basically wisdom, right? Because that's what this truth is. This truth is wisdom, right? Because wisdom is what's going to give you salvation, right? So if you have that right woman, bro, and you know she's the one for you, you're going to hold her the way she needs to be held. You're not going to hold her by her damn neck. No, you're going to embrace her. You're going to embrace her, you know? You're going to make love to her. Right? That's what this doctrine is. That's what this truth is. We gotta hold it in the right way so it don't leave us. If you hold a woman by her neck, man, she gonna flee from you. And that's what this truth is doing to a lot of brothers, man. The truth is fleeing from people because they holding it from on the damn neck, bro. We need to be man, loving on this truth, man. Make this truth your life. That woman, she wants to know that she's loved. She wants to be taken care of. She wants to be pampered, bro. That's how we need to do with this truth, man. We need to be holding on this truth with dear life. And once again, I'm talking to myself as well, right? Because anyone can follow this truth. Nobody's exempt. The Most High God, He already knows who's His, right? He already knows who's going to make it, right? But we don't. So we gotta make our calling and election sure, right? So with that, shalom.